Hi, Linkies. Hope you're all going to tune in today and start talking. I was blown away. And can I just say thank you so, so much to everyone that gave me a call or message last week. Made me a little bit emotional because, some of the times I don't know who's watching, etc. So I was a little bit nervous last week because the figures in the attendees have been kind of dropping off. However, what I saw if I look at my analytics, there's thousands of you that tune in every single week, up to 2,500 of you, which, I'm completely blown away with. So thank you to everyone who tunes in. But on that note, it did kind of make me think about, whether, it made me think about the recruitment process. We can get thousands of people applying to the same job, but only a very, very small percentage ever kind of stand out because they haven't got the right imagery, or they haven't told the story in their portfolio. And this is why I'm doing these, because when I go through the CVs and portfolios, you guys all look the same. And even I think I mentioned this last week, but again, this week, what I was seeing in job applications from my side is that people are not putting projects in their CVs. So they're taking a template, and it's probably a really generic template that's maybe for like finance people, I don't know. But they're talking about their duties, and then that's that. There's nothing about the projects that they're working on. We as recruiters really need to understand, so do the hiring managers, the talent acquisition, the internal teams. We all need to know and understand what you're working on a daily basis. So if you're leaving out projects, that's like everything that we need to know. We need to know like the software, the projects, the scale, where these projects are, your involvement, etc., etc., etc. And this is why I'm doing these LinkedIn Lives again, because there's thousands of you out there. I was kind of like looking up last night about how many people are in the architectural design, landscape, interiors, urban planning, urban design, master planning sectors. There's between 4 to 6 million of you. And look, you can see on a weekly basis how many people comment, and it's such a small proportion. So if you think that up to 2,500 people have been tuning in on a weekly basis, but there's only a real handful of you that actually interact or communicate, ask questions, etc., that's representative in the recruitment process of how many of you actually kind of stand out. We need to understand way more information in your CV and your portfolio. Your CV should be there as a tool to kind of hook people in, so to speak. So it's like, you've got your company names, you've got your titles, the software you're working on, a bit about you, and then all your duties. And then your portfolio is so, so incredibly powerful. It kind of acts as a pre-interview, if you could call it that. I don't know. I'm making things up on the spot here now. But it's kind of, we've had clients that have worked with us. And I said this last week, but we've had some clients working with us on our Portfolio Masterclass. And this was years ago. And we had 2 urban designers who had come from the same company. Now their portfolios looked exactly the same. And so our client just came back to me and said, Hayley, can you send these guys through your Portfolio Masterclass and let's see what they come back with after they've gone through the masterclass? And one of them, wow, did he get it? He really went through the Portfolio Masterclass step by step, and he shone. So our client just said, Hayley, the interview is just a formality at this point. So this is why I'm doing these Portfolio Masterclasses and LinkedIn Lives again, because I need you guys to understand that your portfolio is so incredibly powerful. Start sharing these lives with your team and colleagues and people afar, because there's so many people that get to the job search process, they're panicking, and it's not the best time to put your portfolio together. I did a video at the beginning of this year, and I was waiting on 47 people to update their portfolio. And obviously, most of those people fell out of the shortlisting process because they just didn't have the information my client needed to make a decision. So I've just seen that there's some people that are tuning in. Design Matrix Studio. That's a new one. I thought it was mainly people that were just on these, but hello, lovely to have you here. Thank you for Mohammed. Hi. Can you review my portfolio? I've sent you in a DM. I will send you a link, Mohammed. Because I've got lots of people booked in. I've been sending out invites to everyone. So I will send you a link afterwards, but thank you for sending me a DM. Do you have any questions? Also, today, what I've done, I've set this up a little bit differently. I know that this was a QR code for our portfolio reviews, so working directly with me. But what I've done is I've changed it to register at a recruitment, because what I've done is set up a funnel so you guys can really understand every single stage of the hiring process. So your CV, your LinkedIn, your portfolio, job search, personal brand, all needs to come together. And once that's all together, it's incredibly powerful in the job searching process. Hiring managers look and see that you understand about personal brand. And I've said this a million times, but you should treat yourself as a business of one. So I'm not talking about copying what a company does. I'm talking about how you feel about your career, where you want to head in your career. And it's really, I think people do put a lot of emphasis in I'm a passionate architect in their career summary, in their CV. But then when you open up their portfolio, the passion is gone, it's devoid, it's disappeared. So again, that's why I'm doing these LinkedIn Lives again, because what I want to see in your portfolios is I want to be kind of transported into the briefing room. When your boss or when your client comes to you and with an idea of the project that they've got, I want to be transported into that room, the look, the feel. And your portfolio should demonstrate that, basically. I want to go on the journey with you. So, right, we've got a few other comments. Hello, Hayley. Also, hang on, I keep forgetting to put these up on the screen. I do apologize. Hello, Hayley. Do you also have some tips for remote jobs, more like a freelance job? As after 16 years, I don't want to go into the office anymore. Yeah, I kind of understand you on that one. I don't really like being based in one place for too long, it would seem. But look, Amna, is that how I say your name? I hope it is. Right. So your portfolio is your window of opportunity, and it's your key to getting these jobs in. So yes, it is more difficult finding remote jobs. I don't have one client at this moment in time who will look at people for remote jobs. I did have it more recently with a client in Saudi, and unfortunately, people abused it. So, and the project was so huge that they had to bring everyone back into the office, which, they probably felt like you at that point. But your portfolio, your LinkedIn are your two places where you can highlight your work. And what was it I was saying last week? I came up with a really good kind of go through your portfolio, Anna. And what I want you to do is remove all the 3D renders and then be really honest with yourself. Does it tell the story about all the stages of a project you work on? So what I mean is, are you working right from the concept stage, or do you just work on technical stage? And then If not, if it's really difficult to figure out what you do on a day-to-day basis, you've got to update that portfolio. You then need to start, and I can't, by the way, I'm in a piece of software here called Restream. So any links you send me or any profiles, I can't actually click on your LinkedIn URL. I'll get it out eventually. So yeah, I can't click on your URL, and I will come back to you afterwards if I can't answer your question or there's something else to add. But yeah, so where was I going there? So basically, you need to really, really focus on your portfolio, getting that tip top, because that's your first sales technique. And I've had clients, this is what I was saying at the beginning, before I started saying hello to everyone, is we had a client that didn't know who to choose because the portfolios looked the same. Had somebody this week want a template. Now, I really, really need you guys to start steering away from templates, because what's happening is, and this happens with CVs as well, by the way, you're going through hundreds, if not thousands of CVs and portfolios. And when you see the same one over and over and over again, they don't stand out. And this is like a window of opportunity for you to stand out and be unique. So you are designers at the end of the day. Embrace that and be original, unique, and start creating your own template. But I want to go on a journey with you. I want to figure out, what did the clients say originally? How did you put those kind of thoughts onto paper and take the client on that journey with you to the end result? So first off, Amna, it's your portfolio that needs to be updated. Take the client on a journey. And I'll go back to what I was saying just a second ago, is when your portfolio, these two guys had the same portfolio, they went and did our Portfolio Masterclass, and one of them came back with an outstanding portfolio, and the client came back to us and said, Hayley, he is so good that the interview is just a formality. So that's what you want that's the aim of the game here. You want to create a buzz around your portfolio, and you've got to go all out. You've got to take the clients on a journey in your portfolio. I want to know the stages. I want to know the brief. I want to know, what the outcome was. I want to go on a stage by stage process with you. And sure, if you've only just worked on, say, the technical side, I want to see the level of technical capabilities you have. So again, it's all about convincing the hiring manager of your expertise, of your skills, and the level that you're at. It's just being transparent. You're trying to build trust with your applications, and in a very short window. Yes, agreed. But your LinkedIn as well is another area where all of you guys can improve on. The amount of LinkedIn profiles I go on to that literally just have a company name, a title, dates. They then only kind of, at best, repost other people's posts, and you don't really get a feel for who they are. You have no idea. And what you kind of tend to find with applications, people talk themselves out of interviews because the CV will say one thing, the portfolio will have 3D renders. So are you just a 3D visualizer? And then the LinkedIn says another story again. So there's no consistency, and we're really looking for consistency here. Consistency in your learning, like throughout the years as well. We want to see progress. We want to understand your understanding of branding, colors, fonts, spaces. You guys are creating amazing, amazing projects. And I was looking at the figures, and even in a residential home, in a property's 10-year lifespan, up to like 600 people will walk through those doors. And then when you're looking at massive kind of, what was that? I think it's the Forbidden City in China, is the most visited place on this planet. and it's millions of people that go there. So you guys, architects, designers, landscape architects, etc., all of you get to influence how people feel on a day-to-day basis. You're certainly aware of it when I'm doing coaching sessions. You're obviously aware of how people move through spaces, how people feel, the colors, the lighting, everything culminates to uh, bring a space together in how you feel in that space. So why aren't you utilizing your inherent skills to put that into your portfolio so that we get that feel as well? I think, AI is great and everything, and templates give you an idea. We have templates on our website. So again, if you want to register on there, on our website, you will get some emails taking you through a journey of just a few insights on each stage of personal brand, CV, LinkedIn, job search, portfolio, so that it gives you insights into changing that way of thinking, because you have a plethora of touch points in the recruitment process, in the hiring and selection process. And if one of those touch points is telling a completely different story, it's like it sends off alarm bells in everyone's kind of mind of, okay, so who's actually been involved in this project? So you're trying to build trust at every single stage. And so it's that awareness. We need to understand your awareness of your personal brand. Sue, LinkedIn user. Oh, by the way, LinkedIn, thank you for these questions, by the way. Keep them coming in. There is a massive time delay, so just please ask away. So is a website still considered a portfolio? So honestly, some of the websites that I have seen that are put together, I don't know why, they're just not the best. They look like a sales page of the actual project rather than of your work. I'm not against websites. I just think it's a lot easier with a PDF. Maybe that's me, but we as a business, as a recruitment consultancy, we want to protect you guys as much as possible. I know in the Middle East, there's been quite a lot, or I've seen, of companies using architects' work, which obviously I'm not a fan of. So what we do is we protect everyone's portfolio. They go out with a URL link that we put together, and we can see who's been looking at your portfolio again, so we can chase them and find out the feedback for you. Doesn't always work, but we do try. And also, it protects you. But look, a website is still considered a portfolio, but are you containing the right information? So what we need to understand is, I've got some tips for you here. So what companies are looking for in a portfolio. So firstly, I did say this at the beginning, but I will say it again. Hi, Thomas. Hi, Safe. Lovely to have you here. So what companies are looking for in your CV, portfolio, LinkedIn, all of the above is that, and there's four key elements. So clarity. So does your portfolio effectively communicate your CV story in a visual format? So whatever you're talking about in your CV, your portfolio is your window of opportunity to really impress the hiring manager. If you are detailing or talking about the elements of a project that you work on in your CV and it's not in your portfolio, the client or the hiring manager is more than likely to move on to the next person. It creates doubt because, okay, they're telling me that they do this. And also there is one other viewpoint on this topic. It's hopefully I've answered your question there. I will keep going with what I'm saying here. So I've lost my train of thought. That's annoying. So does your portfolio effectively communicate your CV story? Yeah. So basically, because we've got so many people in the Middle East, from different nationalities, different countries, blah, 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 blah. You all have an interpretation of design. What does design mean? And in actual fact, if you look at, even if I refer to REBA stages, so for example, most of the stages contain design. So I do get it. I'm a designer, but are you the front end designer? So pre-concept, concept, coming up with the original idea, or are you on the technical design? So more of the back end stuff, the construction drawings. So what we need to understand is clarity from what you say in your CV to your portfolio. If that's not apparent when we open up your portfolio, there are question marks, and we're trying to build trust and reduce the amount of question marks in your details. So first point companies are looking for is clarity. The second is vision. So beautiful ideas that also address the brief. I will keep coming back to the brief because I do want to be transported into that briefing room with you guys. I want to know what the client said. I want to know how you guys as a team, how you work as a team, how you come up with ideas, where do you get your inspiration from? Like, there's inspiration everywhere, but where does that come from? I think portfolios for me are just a bunch of, as a general rule, just a bunch of 3D renders shoved together. There's no understanding of what you did or what somebody else did. Did you work on any other stages? And that is the trap that most people fall into. And even, businesses do it as well. Like, I don't know if any of you guys know Nikita Morel. She's Aussie, and I'm hopefully going to get her on one of these lives one week. But she is bringing to light about companies' websites and the fact that they don't sell themselves. So this is an industry issue. She's got similar kind of message to me. Like, you guys need to just be really honest about, what your vision is. How give the viewer, the reader, either the hiring manager, the client, whoever it is, a walkthrough of your vision. We want to understand all the glossy stuff and all the inspirational stuff. Where do you get these like far out ideas from? So address the brief, the context, and the buildability. No good having ideas if they're not buildable. Thirdly, what companies are looking for is process. We need to see evidence of how you think in the form of sketches, diagrams, concepts, development, technical drawings, the lot. Let's go on a more linear kind of journey with you about which stages you work on. Now, if some of you didn't tune in right at the beginning, I do want to bring this up again, because it looks like, on the face of it, not many people tune in on a day-to-day, on a weekly basis to these portfolio masterclasses. But when I look at the figures, up to 2,500 of you tune in every week. 2,500. And that I just chuckled to myself, because I thought, yeah, when I'm going through hundreds or thousands of applications, this is exactly what I see. There's not many people that stand out, they're different, embrace their very design skills, and put everything in their portfolio that they do. And so the figures on these LinkedIn Lives are pretty similar to what we see in the selection process when it comes to hiring staff. So, your CV says one thing, portfolio says another, and then the LinkedIn brings in another element. We need to see consistency, start like leveling up. I need to level up as a recruitment consultant. We all need to kind of work together to stand out. I'm seeing, as an industry, I'm seeing, and we've all had bosses in our past that are, a bit dictatorial, or, they are, difficult to work for. And what we are seeing with the clients that we work with is that there's a change happening, especially in architecture, about the management side. We want to see you guys there's a new wave coming in that, the people that are making it now are the people who are standing out, who are different, who embrace their design skills, their branding, and they really kind of hone in on all the stages that they work on. They create an experience when you go through their CV and portfolio, and that's why I'm trying to do these LinkedIn Lives. So hang on, right. I've got a couple of questions here. Anna, I usually do the full project from concept to working drawings. 3D renderings are just part of that. Excellent. Moreover, right now I am using my Upwork profile as a portfolio. I hope you are aware of Upwork. I'm not really. I might have to look that up afterwards and come back to you. Oh, Upwork. Is it like Fiverr, that kind of space, as a freelance marketplace? Okay, so is this, were you saying earlier, is a website? No. So, I mean, that's great and everything, but you just take people on a journey. I personally love PDFs because it hones people in. I don't know about you, but I always have a load of tabs. If you look at my laptop at this moment in time, I've probably got about 20 tabs open. When you open a PDF, you know, it opens wide. And I love the fact that it forces you to create white space. I don't know. Personally speaking, I love PDFs, but that's just me. I've got a lot of recruitment consultant, so I'm probably coming at it from a different perspective. Yes, you know, Upwork is great, Fiverr's great, but you know, again, it's a sales platform. Make sure that you have all of the stages. 3D renders are great to look at for the client, but they still want to understand how you dealt with the clients, how you made them feel, how you took them on a journey. So that's what we need to understand with your portfolios. So again, it really doesn't matter whether you're creating like a Canva link or Upwork, Fiverr, whatever you're doing, but you've got to take people on a journey of that whimsical, inspirational, you know, we as human beings make decisions based on emotion. So utilize that. You guys all know this. This is part of your day-to-day job, you know, colors, fonts, experience. So I want to be transported when it comes to your CVs and portfolios. It's so easy for you guys to stand out because the majority of you are using the same templates. So the minute you're unique, the minute you talk in a human voice, your passion actually comes through, and like you can demonstrate all of the excellent qualities of a great employee throughout your CV and portfolio just by writing it yourself. I know a lot of people, when it comes to the coaching sessions that I've been doing, I'll say, oh, I know that's written by an AI, and you only need to look at LinkedIn feeds to know that people are getting sick of it already. Now, for all the recruitment consultants out there, they'll know this. We see the same template again and again and again, up to 5 times in a row sometimes, you know. And so when you're faced with that, you're not standing out at all. Certainly when I worked on a branding role during COVID. Hi, John. Great to have you here. I worked on a branding role during COVID, and wow, there was a massive difference. And I think because I don't work on branding roles, really, it's architecture, design, master planning, landscape, urban design in the main. So when I was looking at these CVs, it was blatantly obvious who would be selected and who wouldn't, because you'd have a word, you know, like a real standard kind of Word CV and portfolio, not a Word portfolio, but they were just inconsistencies. Word would look a certain way, the PDF would look a certain way. But then you would get another branding guy who really embraced the very skills that he uses on a day-to-day basis, branding. So, you know, there was an understanding of the fonts, the look, the feel, his own personal brand would just exude everywhere. And so those guys were the ones that were selected. And it's no different in architecture and design. You have to embrace the design skills that you use on a day-to-day basis. As soon as you start doing that, you stand out automatically. It's not hard. It's not difficult. You just need to start walking the walk instead of talking the talk. So, right. Nandini, thank you for your question. What if you're an MSc student and all your masters was about reports? Do you still rely on your bachelor's work, or MSc reports matters while going through the recruitment process? Look, what do you want to be working on when you finished your masters. Just because it's in the past doesn't mean to say it's not relevant to the job that you will want or you want to do. You've got to take the hiring manager on a journey about your understanding and your capabilities, what you've learned. Oh, whoopsie, I've just dropped everything. So what you've learned throughout your career so far. So yes, include that work, but you've really got to start steering your career in the direction that you want to go. So what I would advise that you do, Nandini, is sit down and in a quiet space, get some paper, get a pen, and really kind of sketch out what you want to be doing in the years to come. What does your career look like? So what I mean by that is, what kind of projects are you going to be working on? What is the look and feel? You know, do you have a certain style? Go and start like doing loads of research online. Who are your mentors? Who do you look up to? Start looking at their backgrounds and start like looking at how they've developed their careers. You know, if you have I keep getting this every week with people. I want to work for Foster and Partners. So okay, start researching the people at Foster and Partners, for example. You will see that the guys at Foster and Partners know at least 15 softwares and know it really, really well. So there's a starting point for you. You know, start learning those softwares outside of work, or, you know, start speaking to your boss. I want to do this. I want to do that. Start kind of thinking about your end goal of where you want to go. So, you know, hang on, I've got, you've just said, think about where you want to go. So follow up to what you've just said. Bachelor's is about architecture, design, and master's is health, well-being, and sustainable buildings. But I want to target boutique architects. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what sector you mean by boutique architects, but you know, you need to start building out. Sketch out, like I said, exactly what you want to be doing in years to come, and start kind of honing in. Do searches on LinkedIn, see if there anyone else who has taken that journey, so that you can start to build that in your mind of how to get there. But look, every kind of course that you do, etc., it adds a different dimension to your expertise. It increases, that's not the word I was looking for, it enhances your viewpoint. So you start to kind of get inspired by, you know, you go down different avenues, so to speak. So, you know, understanding your design process is the most important thing when it comes to your portfolio. Hiring managers tend to kind of look for people that have taken a similar journey to them, because they understand. So, you know, go and have a look at people on LinkedIn who have done that journey themselves, so that you can get inspired. And maybe there's softwares that you need to learn. Maybe there's kind of exposure that you need, but start to get those insights so that you have a direct path in your career, and that you can build upon. You have a plan. I think there's so many people in architecture. Oh, yes, my target. You're targeting Foster and Partners. I get it every week. So, you know, start researching them. They know at least 15 softwares. And when I see some of them, some of the, you know, the guys that have sent me their CVs and portfolios, they utilize those softwares in their portfolio. You know, they really do understand branding. I mean, look, go on these company websites like UN Studio, like OMA, like Foster and Partners, you know, whatever big name you want to work for, and really kind of get into what they are showing of their company brand. It's all about, it is about their brand, the colors, the fonts, the white space that they use. They take you on an easy breezy journey. So, you know, when we look at portfolios and all the information is crammed into a few pages, it's not a nice experience. It just feels like, I just put that there. And when you start zooming in on these images, they're pixelated. So what was the point? You know, it's not an enjoyable document to go through. You're kind of like, well, did they work on that? Did they work on that? Is it just 3D renders that they're working on? I have no idea. So utilize white space. And like, I think even Foster and Partners have a couple of, like, if you go through some of their projects, they have like their design intent, the brief, etc. Just get inspired and start kind of thinking about how you want to be perceived as. So when somebody opens your CV and portfolio, how do they feel? I think there's, for years, candidates have been misled about CVs. That's for certain. You've all been scared into, oh, the ATS is stopping me. And now it's, oh, AI is stopping me. It's not. The only thing that the ATS, I've got a golden tip for you here. Please get a pen and paper, pass this on to as many people as possible, because the ATS system is so easy to understand. All you need to do is open up your CV, and if you cannot highlight the text, copy that into a, I don't know, notepad or plain text document. If it doesn't look the same, or if you can't copy it, the ATS system can't read a single word in your CV. So open up your CVs this evening, please. If you copy all the text, put that into a notepad and see if it reads exactly the same. If you're layering imagery over text, that doesn't work either. So be careful where you put imagery in a CV. I tend to think it's a better idea to maybe leave that, still get creative. You can still like use fonts and accent colors, things like this. But CV is more for the text. And then the portfolio for me is about the journey. And I'm not saying that you don't put any text in your portfolio either, by the way. Like the easier the journey is for the reader. So an explanation of what you were working on, the better the journey is, the better the experience is from our perspective, and certainly the hiring managers. You've got to put yourself in their shoes. Like they're going through that, they're already a man short because they're recruiting, at least. And they've already gone through, by the time they come to us, they've already gone through hundreds of applications. And that's why they're using us, because they're like, this is taking up way too much time. I'm at least a man short. Help. So think about the user experience with your CVs and portfolios and your LinkedIn. Consistency is key here, guys. So Dawood, hi again. Lovely to see your name every week. Oh my God, I'm going to have a trouble here. Farhadullah. Hello. I think I got that right, hopefully. Right. Nadini. Yes, it's confusing because there's so much misinformation. It's misinformation everywhere out there, because I don't want to just target. I want to position myself in the long run. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And this is why I'm doing these LinkedIn Lives. It's no good kind of getting to the job search process. You're in a panic already because you're looking for a job and it's not working out as you expected. You thought that there's going to be loads of options there, but it's just what's that word? Tumbleweeds everywhere. So I want you guys to really get ahead of the game. Start putting your portfolios together when you're not looking for work, because you're in a much better mood. And what I say when I'm doing coaching sessions and stuff, I can even feel the tension through the screen with some of the people. What I want from all of you is to go out, do something really fun. Or watch something really funny on TV. Get yourself into that real high vibe before you start putting together your portfolio, and get inspired. Like, what inspires you on a daily basis? What do you like bounce out of bed for? Like, I want you to start kind of looking at the long game, because I can't have the situation where I'm going through like a list of candidates and I'm struggling to find someone who has got the CV and portfolio aligned. 99.9% of the time, they are not aligned. The CV says one story and the portfolio says another. So you're already raising question marks. Once your CV, portfolio, LinkedIn, everything is aligned, interviews become really, really enjoyable. And you don't get questions like, what do you do? What did you do on this? What? It's more like, okay, so how can we work together? Because your portfolio has already done the convincing. It's done its sales job for you. So start thinking a little bit differently about your CVs and portfolios. Don't rush to the finish line. I think most of you go, yeah, I need a CV template. I need a portfolio template. Blah, 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 blah. There, it's done. Take your time. It's not a quick fix process. I've got a platinum subscriber with me at the moment. So platinum subscribers. By the way, if you want more advice, register on our website, because you will get a string of emails with all the 5 elements of your job search. So CV, job search, personal brand, portfolio, and what was the other one? There was another one. CV. Oh, LinkedIn. Of course. So you will get an email about each of those 5 areas, and it just gives you 3 kind of tips. There are obviously a lot more. Hence why we've got our masterclasses on our website. So if any of you want to message me about that, please do. But there's so many touch points when it comes to your job search. And once you've got all those touch points in alignment, things are just easier. I mean, some of the people that I was coaching during COVID, I've seen their careers catapult because they're really at ease with getting themselves out there now. They've seen the benefits of everything being in alignment. And, they don't need to come back to me anymore. It's done. It's dusted. They get it. They've got their path. They know where they're going. They know how to present themselves. They know what the hiring manager needs to see. And even if you kind of look at some of these websites, company websites, I said earlier, like Nikita Morel, who's a web designer in Australia, she's absolutely amazing. And she sees exactly what I see. You guys just don't sell yourself. You don't do yourself any favors when it comes to presenting your work. It's you're hiding behind a company name. You're hiding behind projects that you've worked on, and you're not telling anyone what you've done. And even so, years ago, like 25, 27 years ago, when I first started out in recruitment, it was pretty much guaranteed if you had a great company name on your CV, so easy to place them. But these days, it's not. When I started my career, I faxed CVs, would you believe? Like, I can't even believe I'm saying that out loud. But yeah, I used to fax CVs at the beginning of my career. So when we had a great company name on a CV, it was super easy. We didn't even have portfolios back then. But in the event of the internet and information is far easier out there these days, far more easily accessible these days. It's about the people who really kind of level up. They stand out because they're doing something different. If you're all kind of hiding behind these CV templates and portfolio templates, and I hate the don't know his name. I'm not going to say his name, but there's a guy on LinkedIn who gives you guys templates for emails and stuff. Hi, my name is. I know what your name is because it says it. I don't want to see templates. If you're all doing templates, you're not standing out. Do you get me? I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down here, guys, because if you all look the same, how is someone supposed to choose who to hire? It's just a sea of robots. You all look the same, and AI is no different. There's telltale signs, and it just reeks of AI. It's not your personality. How do I put this? Okay. So when I'll get hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of emails a week, and if somebody addresses me by my name, yeah, great. But if they start saying my name is, or I see that long telltale sign dash from AI, it's like guaranteed I've definitely seen that email before. So automatically they don't stand out. It's the ones who have personality. Maybe they crack a joke, or they're just normal. They just talk as a normal human being. That's how simple it is to stand out these days. just be yourself. We all kind of gravitate to people that are similar to us, right? Maybe we see a quality in someone that we really admire, so we gravitate towards and we like what they hear. So we make decisions based on emotions. So use your human qualities to get seen by people that you want to work for. So, like what I find when it comes to recruitment, we don't just look at CVs and portfolios and go, okay, it's in alignment, so they are good. It's got, there's so many different aspects other than that. We look at the personality fit, and there can be some people that I've worked with that I'm just like, okay, they don't have great company names on their CV. They haven't, I don't know the names, but they've gone over and above in their CV and portfolio. And it's clear for everyone to see that they're super passionate about architecture. And so they've already won it. They've won you over because they've really put in time and effort to be unique, and they've embraced who they are as a designer. They've embraced the projects that they've worked on. They can't wait to tell you the stages of the projects that they've worked on it. And it's really clear and obvious for everyone to see when they open up their CV and portfolio that they are really proud to work in this industry. Oh, make myself a bit emotional there. Right, quick, move on. Fifth one. I have no idea what that means, Dawoom. Thank you, Hayley. You are very welcome, Nadini. I shall spare some time for another. Wait, I've got to have a look at this. I couldn't see it all. Thank you so much, Hayley. Lovely to connect with you. You too. I think I shall spare time for other curious minds. Please do. Like, you can get inspiration in really funny places sometimes. I get inspiration on my colleague calls them the magical walks I do in the morning. I could be listening to a podcast or whatever, and ideas just kind of flood in. You want to get yourself in that zone. Have a great day. You too. Please keep in touch. I will do. You too. So, Dawu, I don't know what you mean by the fifth one, but if you could explain, that'd be great. So just so you know, I'm going to be carrying on for another 10 minutes or so. If you've got other questions, somebody's just going, please do register on our website. It's free. And then you get 5 tidbits of information on every element of your job search, and just 3 for each element. There's obviously loads more, but hopefully that will start triggering this is inspiration in your mind. Start getting yourself out there. Right, LinkedIn user. By the way, fun tip. If you are coming up as LinkedIn user, go and change your settings, because none of us can see that you're looking at our profiles. I will only find out who you are after I go back through Restream. So go and have a look at your settings in LinkedIn, because I think sometimes, especially in architecture and design, you're quite insular and subservient sometimes. So, I think you get scared about who's if we can see your profile or not. Get yourself out there. We need to see you. It's really easy to stand out in the architecture and design market because you are all so quiet. Like I said earlier on, there's 2,500 of you that tune into these every week, but look at the comments. There's hardly any of you that actually comment. And that's what it's like in the recruitment process. None of you stand out because you all look the same. You don't put your head above the parapet. So, hello, Miss Dyer. Hello, LinkedIn user. Hope you're fine. I'm very well, thank you. So I am in the BIM industry. Problem is when it's BIM involved, it's all classified stuff, meaning I won't get access to the projects I've worked on to work on my portfolio. Are you talking about NDAs here? And I worked on some major projects this summer. Look, I would never, ever, ever, ever advocate putting in projects to your portfolio that are governed by an NDA. However, I have spoken to some of my clients about this. They were involved in putting together our Portfolio Masterclass as well. So I was like, look, I do have candidates who are just like, right, Hayley, I'm governed by NDAs. Yeah, okay, great. But those NDAs aren't there forever and ever and ever, ever. I think we need to, as an industry, all be a little bit more open and honest that you're never going to stay in one company for the duration of your career. It's extremely, extremely rare these days. I know I've had a recruitment for 18 years, but that is like unheard of in other sectors, you know? So I think we need to be a little bit more honest, like, look, I want to be proud of my projects. I want them in my portfolio. Go and speak to your old bosses, etc., and just say, look, I really need to get ahead in my career. I want to include some of these projects. Are they still under the NDA? We need to start having these conversations a little bit more often so that you guys get to stand out and go far in your career. If not, if you're still having issues with that, then you are all in the design industry, guys, and this is a great use of AI. Probably one of the few when it comes to putting together your CV and portfolio. But what I want you to do is get your AI to put together a brief for you, put together those drawings, and then add them to your portfolio. Do you understand how you will understand, how you will stand out in the hiring process if you go, hey, this is a project that my AI put together. My work's all governed by NDAs. Maybe I can share it with you in the interview stage, but this is what I've put together for you. You know, that shows so many skills that hiring managers are looking for, and utilize that. Utilize AI to benefit you for your future career. So hopefully I answered that one. Oh, hang on. Yes. I always learn some new things, so yeah, there's lots to learn. I have to say, this is why I spent years putting together the Portfolio Masterclass, the AE Masterclass, the AE Platinum. AE Platinum, by the way, you guys get access to me 24/7. It's a monthly subscription, and yeah, it's once you're set up with every single element of your job search, it's really easy to tailor in later years. My issue with kind of candidates that apply online, etc., is the bulk of them are not prepared whatsoever. I go through their CV, that tells one story. I go through their portfolio, and that tells another story. Then I go onto LinkedIn, and whoa, you think that LinkedIn is probably more the honest version because we all know that your boss and your colleagues are looking at your LinkedIn profile, right? So we kind of think, right, okay, if there's, say, I don't know, a design architect on LinkedIn, but then actually other way around, people actually do this in their CVs. They call themselves a design architect in their CV, and then you go on to their LinkedIn and it's an architectural draftsman. Question marks, alarm bells. You know, so consistency. We're like, recruitment consultants are like human lie detectors. You know, if there is an inconsistency, it raises questions from our perspective. We are trying to find our clients, so companies, the best fit for their business, you know, build that awesome team so that company comes back to us again and again and again and again to recruit more staff through us. That's how we work. So, you know, if we get a candidate that raises any questions, we're like, oh, you know, we don't want that against our reputation, but also we need you to be really aware of this. It's about trust. You need to build trust when it comes to your CV portfolio, your LinkedIn, and you do that by consistency. So, right, okay. I think I've got a question here. Yee. Doo-woo! Lovely to have you here week on week. I really appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Hayley, I made portfolio. I have almost 12 projects, commercial, health, and residential project in my portfolio. So how can I share with you? Also, I modified more. It is very good effort of you with any LinkedIn. Right, okay, so create what I advise to everyone, make your portfolio, and whatever software you're using, you will be able to create a URL link. It makes it easier to send out. I think there's another recruiter out there who's giving really, really bad advice at the moment, to only put 5 projects in your portfolio. I don't want to know that. I want to see that raises questions for me. And I know it raises questions with the likes of the tier 1 companies that we recruit for. They want to see the evolution of who you are as an architect, interior designer, landscape architect, etc. 5 projects isn't necessarily going to be able to do that. Or we've also seen recruiters say maximum 5 megabytes. No, when you get into working with these outstanding international architectural practices, they want to see high quality imagery. You can't put together a portfolio with 5 megabytes. There's so much misinformation out there. If you, as an individual, in your gut, if you think I can't show who I am in a 2-page CV, don't use a 2-page CV. I hate them because more often than not, you don't come up in our searches because maybe you haven't put the projects in, maybe you've left out software, maybe you've left out some of your duties. So therefore, you are in a resume black hole, CV black hole, whatever you want to call it. I will never find you in my database. So if you have anyone who's scaring you into shortening your CV, shortening your portfolio, ditch them, get rid of them, because it's bad advice. You're not going to come up in searches. It boils my blood. So, right. So, LinkedIn user. Again, if your name is coming up like this, change your settings and you want to be seen. I don't know who you are. Go into your settings on LinkedIn and make sure that you're visible. Hello, Diet. My name is actually Hayley, by the way. Hayley. I am from Nigeria. How best can position myself to global opportunity with more a decade of experience in large scale projects? So what I would advise is have a look at, really kind of be discerning, be honest with yourself, have a look at the projects that you've worked on. What sector are they in? Who, what location? And then make a list of the companies, maybe they're competitors, or you can look at this from 2 perspectives. Maybe you've got a goal of an architectural practice that you would like to work for. In this case, what I would do is do some research, go through the people that work for them. What computer skills do they have? What do their projects look like? Do they look similar to what you've been working on? So large scale, sure, but there's different kind of quality of architecture, different. What hiring managers are looking for, they're looking to minimize the onboarding time, especially when they come through a recruitment consultant like myself, because they're at least one man short. They don't want to be in a position where they're training and hiring at the same time. That, they're effectively even more men short because their team are having to teach and onboard that new person. So what they're looking for in your CV and portfolio is they want to understand clarity, they want to understand your expertise and at what level. So the more honest you are in your CV and portfolio, the better. And I actually find honesty is the best policy, but the more honest you are, it just reflects really well on you, and it gives a great experience. I think people talk themselves out of jobs at interview stage because they haven't been honest in their CV and portfolio. Maybe they've hidden a bit of expertise. So what we'll have sometimes is people going into interviews and they'll, in their CV and portfolio and the conversation that they've had with us, they're all front end design. And then in the interview, they're talking all about project management. It's not the role that they're recruiting for. So they've talked themselves out of the job. And it happens all the time. You'll find that if you don't get an offer at interview stage, then you really need to go back to your CV and portfolio LinkedIn. You haven't told the right story, and you've created doubt in that hiring manager's mind. You really need to build that trust, and you do that by being honest. But go and research those businesses that you want to work for. Find out what computer software they're using, start learning those, and then really kind of look at the projects, the quality of the projects, and find out competitors as well of your current business. You can do this via LinkedIn. If you have a paid subscription, you can go on to the companies, so go on to your current employer, for example, and it will come up with a list of similar businesses. That's when you know that you can pretty much go to any one of those businesses because there's commonalities with your existing company. If you want to go further afield, then you need to start like really kind of honing in on a similar kind of personal brand to the company brand, this kind of thing. So, if it's like a Foster and Partners, as we've been talking about earlier on, they're really aware. All of their candidates that work for them they've all got an awareness of personal branding. So really kind of create your brand. What do you want to be known for? Use those colors to articulate qualities that you possess, and fonts, by the way. So you already understand all of this on a day-to-day basis. It's part of your job too. So utilize these skills in your CV and portfolio to demonstrate your level of expertise. Right. Can we attach, hang on, not sure what this means. Can we attach CV also with portfolio? Yeah, of course you can. So the reason why I said, sorry, I clicked that accidentally. The reason why I said use a URL link, because portfolios can get really, really hefty in size. I mean, I've seen like one portfolio that was a gigabyte. Like, I don't advise sending a gigabyte worth of portfolio. Like, no one's going to go through that amount. But not being constricted in any way, shape, or form, and sending a URL link is an easier way to go about it, because you know that your email is going to land in their inbox. If, for example, we have a limit on the size of the CV that passes through our database. So what we have in our email in Outlook, we have like this unique URL, and when you guys send me an email, or apply to a job on our website, or send to your CV on our website, whatever it is, we have a unique URL that sends your CV through this parser system, so into our database, and it drags out information from your CV and puts it into searchable fields in your records. So we'll have a record unique to you. And if it's over 10 megabytes, it bounces back. Data is expensive these days, and so we cannot, you can imagine, we've got hundreds of thousands of people on our database. If we have everyone sending gigabytes worth of CVs and portfolios, it uses up the data pretty quickly. So we have to limit the sizes, and I'm sure there's other businesses that have to do the same. So that's the reason why I say send a URL. Every kind of piece of software these days gives you an option to create a URL, whether it's Word, Adobe, whatever it is. Create a URL with your PDF or whatever and send it as a link. What I don't advise sending as a link is your CV, because it will never pass through that piece of software, like I say. And because of the volume of CVs and portfolios we get, we can't be sat there doing an admin role. Like, that's not a good use of our time or our team's time. So always send your CV as an attachment, but the portfolio, yes, send it as a link. and also get ahead of it. Get everything kind of packaged together. So it's a great experience for the reader or the hiring manager, recruiter, whoever they are. You want to think about that experience and make information readily and easily available, right? Once we start clicking here, there, and everywhere, you start to lose people. Also, in the hiring process, you've got to think that these hiring teams are at least one man short. So that hiring manager is under pressure to produce the projects and to find staff. Now, what they are trying to do is reduce that onboarding time. So the reduce onboarding time, that wasn't the point I was going to make. They get loads of questions from their team while they're going through CVs and portfolios. You need to kind of make that information so easily available and think about the user kind of experience. If the information is there and readily available, it's easier. It's all there in one. If they start having questions, etc., they just click on to the next person. And sometimes it's a real difficult job for us to go, hang on a minute, did you see this? Did you see that? Because if they've been interrupted by one of their staff and they've moved on to the next person. So Sinead, you are very, very welcome. Right, I'm going to have to wrap it up here, but please can you please start coming in with more questions? Like I said at the beginning, up to 2,500 of you are tuning in on these, but when I'm looking at the comments, the interaction, there's hardly any of you. And this is completely reflective of how it is in the recruitment process. You're all kind of voyeurs, like you're all melting into the same pot of and not putting your head above the parapet. You need to start getting, especially this day and age, start getting comfortable with being out there. You work in a visual industry. And one of my friends said a great line, Charmaine, it's the age of the designer. You know, we're forever on our phones. We are forever looking at images. Really kind of use this time to stand out by putting your imagery out there, putting your thoughts about projects. Maybe there's a piece of software or an update. You know, you can talk about anything on LinkedIn, but start getting comfortable with being out there. And that's how you start standing out. And if you would like to work with me, look, register on our website. Most of you aren't registered on our website because it's been updated and whatever. So you're in our database, but not on our website. Register on the website. You will get a series of emails to give you insights on every single stage of your job search. So there's 5 emails that you will get, 3 tips on each. Obviously, that's not the whole. That's not everything that, there is to know. That's what the masterclasses are there for, or one-on-one coaching with me. But yeah, start to get a feel of the options that you have out there. I think people think, oh, I've done the template, so that means I'm going to get the role. It doesn't. Filling in a template just means that you're merging in with everyone else. We want you to be unique. We want you to embrace the very skills that you are trying to articulate over to the hiring manager. We want everyone to understand who you are as a designer and the capabilities you have. You know, once hiring managers understand where you're at in your career, what you do on a daily basis, it makes it a lot easier for them to go, right, I can vision them working in my office. And that's when an interview becomes not a question of what you do, it's how we can work together. So hopefully I've given you loads of insights this week. Please pass on this LinkedIn Live so that it raises awareness to your team, you know, your friends, etc., the importance of your portfolios. I don't want to be going through 800 people and looking at portfolios that only have 3D renders when you're a design architect or you're a technical architect. It makes it impossible for me to submit your details if your work isn't in there. So please get this message out to as many people as possible. And I can't wait to see you next week. Hope you all have an incredible weekend. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in. And I can't wait to answer your questions next week. So have a great weekend, guys. See you later. Bye.